Hey, good morning to you. Very good morning. Welcome to church. Welcome to another message, another podcast. I hope you are well this morning. Hope you're good. I was tinkering with the idea of recording outside this morning because it's so sunny and blue skies and beautiful, but just a little bit chilly. When the weather gets a little bit warmer, I'm going to find somewhere to do some outside podcast, outside broadcast. So I'm looking forward to that. Just change of scenery. And I love the flowers and everything, but I need a change every now and then. I think so do you. So I'm going to talk this morning on the same parable. Okay, it's the same parable. I'm going to read just the first part of it, a little bit in a few minutes. It's the first part of it because that's the relevant bit. Okay, so we're talking about this parable, about the fig tree, and the parable that Jesus told in Luke 13. I'm just going to lay a foundation this morning a little bit as to where I'm at with this moment in time, because there's so much that I can squeeze out of this parable without moving on. Plenty of stuff to talk about, in the future. But for now, I'm kind of fixed on this. I'm thinking about this quite a lot. So I want to talk this morning on Sunday, or whenever you're watching this. But this is Sunday the 6th of April. Okay, so we're into spring. Enjoy the spring. I'm loving it. Okay, I want to talk this morning about, the title is Growing Pains. Growing Pains. Growing Pains. Have you had them? Perhaps when you were younger, and you were physically growing up and your bones were stretching, all that kind of stuff, and you had growing pains in your legs, and it was just agony, and it was all part of the growing up process. Maybe your kids have been through this, our kids have been through this. Well, some of them have been through this. There's this kind of growing pain that you go through. It's the pain I want to talk about this morning. The pain, the ache, the discomfort of growing. So I'm sitting down this morning at the table, which means it's not a rah kind of message, not stand up on your feet and spit and shout and punch and everything and punch the air. It's a kind of sit down and talk, like over a cup of coffee with you this morning. I could do with one right now, but I haven't got one here, so I'll have some water instead. But maybe you're sitting down watching this morning with a cup of coffee, just trying to relax, and or in the car, or just getting ready. I don't know. However you watch this and listen to it, it's just me and you sitting down talking about growing pains. Because what I want to say to you, whatever status in life you're in, I don't know where you are in life or what you're doing in life. I don't know, apart from maybe a handful of people who watches or listens to this podcast, but wherever you are in life, I have learned, in my experience, that growing anything can be painful. Have I got a witness this morning? Is there anybody there this morning who's ever tried to grow something, or growing yourself? But whether it be a business, you're trying to grow a business, and man, it's painful. All the red tape, and all the waiting around for clearance, and all the waiting around for approval, and all the tariffs which we've heard about this week coming from overseas, and all the difficulties that people put in front of you, right? Just because you want to grow a business, and the people involved, and the red tape involved, and the procedures involved. It's painful growing a business, and you might have been through all of that or going through it right now. Growing a church is painful. I've done it for 20 odd years, and learned, many lessons, which I'm hoping I can pass on a little bit. The growing church can be painful because you're dealing with people, for one thing, who can be difficult sometimes. We love people, we serve people, but people can be difficult. We face opposition from the enemy, obviously, because the last thing the devil wants is for us to grow a successful church. So he will put any obstacle in our way. You go through seasons in church, you go through periods of waiting for things to happen, of the pain of people leaving, the pain of people hurting. So what I'm saying this morning, growing anything, whether it's a business or a church, is painful. Growing in life is painful. If we want to grow and extend, maybe we want to learn more and know more, and so we do extra studies. We enroll on courses, which seem like a good idea at the time, and then when you have to do all the learning and all the preparation and dissertations, man, your brain hurts and your emotions hurt because you're waiting for results and you're working hard. Life can be painful. Growing children can be painful. Watching your children grow, watching your children learn, and in our case, children and grandchildren, just watching them learn and watching them have to go through stuff that they have to go through. It's part of growing. It's part of growing up. But boy, to watch it from, for a close hand, you wish it was yourself that was going through stuff rather than them. But they have to go through stuff. They have to go through some hurts and some painful stuff. It's part of growing. Growing your faith is painful. You cross that line of surrender and you say, God, I surrender to you, and casting every care on you and bringing my life to you. And it's growing in faith can be painful because there's a cost. There's a cost to growing. Wherever we want to grow things, whatever we want to grow, there's a pain to it. And I want to call it this morning growing pains. It's the pain of growing. Okay? It's the pain of, let me put a different word there. It's the pain of stretching. Okay? It's the pain of flourishing, of doing well, of growing, bearing fruit, if you like, which this parable I'm going to read talks about. It's the pain of developing. I want to develop. I want to be bigger. I want to be stronger. Anybody who's ever done any kind of exercise, have you done any kind of exercise? I do my best. I do my best to walk when I can and where I can, and just to stretch and just to get a little bit stronger in the leg muscles, because I need to do that, and to learn to walk through pain, to learn to stretch through pain, and any kind of exercise, any kind of development, whether it's spiritual or physical or mental, anything. There are growing pains. It's the price of more. It's the price of wanting more. It's the price of needing more. It's a price of trying to develop something, trying to grow something. And, all of it is what I'm trying to say this morning, that there are growing pains attached. So, just a bit of counsel this morning, if you like, that whenever you go into things, whenever you want to grow something, whether it's yourself or a business, or you're mentoring somebody, or somebody's mentoring you, and the whole learning process is painful. So, I've learned not to go into things, I've learned over years not to go into things naively, thinking, I want to grow, it's going to be easy. I want to win, it's going to be easy. I want to develop something, it's going to be easy. I want to develop this podcast, these messages, and it's going to be easy, I looked at, like I said, recording it outside this morning, doing outside, because it's so nice, a little bit chilly, but I could have done it. But the places that I went to do it, because I want to grow this and develop it, there were people there, or there were dogs there, or there were trains going past, or there was aeroplanes flying over. There was something there to stop me, and it's quite painful to sit down and set yourself up and think, well, no, I can't do it here. I've got to go back home and do it, and just that's only a tiny thing. But the whole thing of just trying to find and imagination and growing pains, and before we think, well, I'm this many years old, I've been a Christian for this many years, before we go along that kind of track, we all have room, whether we are 95 or 15 or been a Christian for the last 80 years and been in 25 churches, we all have room. If we are honest, we all have room to grow. We all have room to develop. Am I right? Or maybe I'm talking this morning to perfect people who have got it all together, and you are perfect and you are just ready for heaven, and there's no way you can grow, there's nowhere in your life you can improve, there's nothing you can work on. Well, maybe this is the wrong kind of podcast for you. Maybe you should go on to the I Am Perfect podcast, because this church that we are developing online is for people who are not perfect. It's for people who are not there yet. It's for people who walk with a limp. It's for people who have a desire to grow and want to learn and want to be blessed and want to develop, but haven't quite got there. It's a church for people with imperfections. So if you fit into any of those categories, welcome to church this morning. Welcome to a group of people who all have room to grow. Are you with me this morning? Welcome to a group of people, a church of people online who want to develop. A group of people who want to be better. I don't know about you, but I want to be better. I don't just mean a better Christian. Of course I do. I want to pray better. I want to worship better. I want to teach better. I want to learn better. I also want to be a better husband. I want to be a better dad. I want to be a better granddad. I want to be a better friend. I want to be a better father-in-law. Can you see what I mean this morning? I'm not just talking about church this morning, although, we all want to grow spiritually. But I want to be better. Am I in a group of people this morning? Can I get a witness this morning that we are a group of people this morning who, not perfect, we are imperfect, we can do better, who want to be better, who have a desire to be better and to do better, to be a better person and to do better things. I want to teach better. I've been preaching since I was 17. So that's a long time. It's actually 51 years. I've been preaching this year 52 years. So, and I've never reached the point, never ever, when I sometimes catch a snippet of me preaching or just watch a little bit of this for editing purposes or to make sure it's recorded properly, I still cringe. Okay? And I can look back over messages that I've preached over the years and I can cringe. I have no idea how people got saved, made the decision after I preached. Because I look back and I think, oh my goodness, I could have done so much better. And I look back every week because I'm in a group of people this morning. I believe you're one of them. In a group of people this morning who just want to be better, a better person, and also do better. To do what you do better. Does that make sense to you? Can you see where I'm coming from this morning? That it's not just about being super spiritual and perfect, because we'll never really be perfect until we see Jesus face to face and he makes us perfect. He makes us righteous. He makes us right with God. But I've still got imperfections, and I can guarantee this morning, I'm not a betting man, but I can guarantee that you've got imperfections, things you would like to be better and things you would like to do better. We are all like this fig tree that I'm going to read about in 2-3 minutes time. We're all this fig tree. That's where I'm coming from this morning with this parable, okay? We could all do better, we could all be better. We are all capable of growing, right? We are all capable. You might say to me, well, Dave, I don't know how I can do better. I don't know how I can be a better person. Well, if we are honest, we can all look in our lives and analyze our lives. And when Paul was talking to the Corinthian church, he was talking about the breaking of bread service, what we call the breaking of bread service, the Last Supper. And do you remember what he said to them before they took the bread and the wine to remember Jesus? He said, "But let a man examine himself." What does that mean? That means look at your life and think, could I do better there? Could I improve there? Am I capable, if I'm honest, of growing in that area? And I think the overall answer, if you're watching this morning, the overall answer is yes. We have not arrived. I have not arrived. And I've got to be totally honest, there are lots of areas that I am capable of growing in this morning, capable of developing. At 68 years old, I have by no means arrived, and I am by no means happy with who I am and what I can do, because I can be better and I can do better. I am capable of growing. Let me ask you a question this morning before I just move on for a couple of minutes. Let me ask you a question. What can you grow in your life right now? I'm not talking about 5 years' time when you've got this, or when the letter comes through the post box, through the post for £1 million, or when this happens, or when that happens. No, I mean right now. Right now, what can you grow in your life? Because we all think, well, if I get that check, if I get that job, if I get that house, if I move there, if I can be that, then we think, well, yeah, we can grow. No, I'm talking about now. With all the difficulties and problems and barriers and obstacles and opposition that you've got right now, what can you grow in your life right now? Now, I've got a list of 8 things, okay, which come from this parable. And I don't know, I started with 1 last week and didn't even finish it, so I don't know when I'll get to. But I'm just kind of laying a foundation for us about these growing pains, because we all have the potential. The potential. Potential is something that hasn't happened yet, okay? So we all have the potential to bear fruit. We all have possibilities in us, and that's what I'm talking about this morning. Whatever age we are, whatever experience we are, whatever status we are, if we have faith or no faith, because this podcast is for Christians and non-Christians, believers, non-believers, people walking a path of faith, and people who haven't even started on the path of faith yet, but you're curious. So this is for everybody. We all have possibilities in us. There are still possibilities in you. How do I know that? You say, Dave, you don't know who I am. You don't know what's happening in my life. I know there are possibilities and potential in your life because you are still breathing. Right? Okay, you're still breathing. Your heart is still beating. Therefore, we have possibilities. We have potential. And along with all of that, whatever we want to call bear fruit, or whatever the result we want in our lives, well, however we want to grow, wherever we want to grow, we will all have growing pains. And I'm going to read from Luke 13:6. After I say this, I'm keeping you hanging on this morning a little bit for the Bible reading, but I need to say this, okay. When I think about this fig tree, which is us, okay? It's a picture of my life, it's a picture of your life. This fig tree that Jesus talked about and a certain man had. I want to say this before we start to read, okay? Make a note of this somewhere. Write it down somewhere, because it's really important. And it came to me this week as I was thinking about this word, and I want to make a statement. The statement is, we are planted on purpose. And we are planted for a purpose. I'll say that again. We are planted on purpose, So nothing about you is accidental. Nothing about you is coincidental. Right? God planted you. God created you. And God has planted you in whatever situation you're in on purpose. You are not going through an accidental, coincidental thing that you're going through right now. It's on purpose. I know it might be hard. You might be going through difficulty, opposition. You might be having growing pains this morning. But God has planted you on purpose, and God has planted you, what? For a purpose. There's a reason why you're still breathing. You're not just filling up the ground, which was this fig tree did. This man said, "What I'll come to that in a second." I'm kind of jumping ahead, but you're not just filling a space. You, whatever age you are, whatever your status, whatever you're doing in life, okay, you might think, "Well, I'm a retired whatever. I'm a mum. I'm a grandmother." Well, you are planted for a purpose. What's your purpose? To be the best mum in the world? Possibly yes. To be the best dad in the world? Maybe. To be the best grandma? To be the best example? To be the best leader? To be the best encourager? To use your imagination? To use what God has given you? I don't know. But what I do know is you are planted on purpose and planted for a purpose. So if you want to write that down as your first point, okay, it might be the first major point, okay? So even 1 and 2. Point number 1, you planted on purpose. Point number 2, you planted for a purpose. Okay, let's read about this fig tree I've been going on about. We're 21 minutes in. First Bible reading. Luke 13:6. If you've been with us for a few weeks, you'll know it. If you haven't this morning, it's Jesus giving us a parable. Okay, which I learned to be a heavenly story with an earthly meaning. Okay, so instead of Jesus coming out and just saying things, use parables, use stories. And this is one of them. And he said, Luke 13:6, a certain man had a fig tree planted. Now I've got certain words in this reading in bold capitals, so they stand out. And the first one is, a certain man had a fig tree planted. Nothing gets planted accidentally or coincidentally or haphazardly. People who plant things plant them deliberately to get the best out of them. And a certain man had a fig tree planted on purpose, planted for a purpose, planted in the vineyard. And he came seeking fruit. There's my next. You might want to do this. Put bold letters over the things. It's seeking fruit, seeking production, seeking growth, seeking an increase. On it, and found, capital letters, none. It was fruitless. Okay? We could talk a lot about that, but verse 7. Then he said to the keeper of the vineyard, look, for 3 years, under capital letters, for 3 years. 3 years is a long time. It's 36 months. It's a long time. I've come seeking fruit on this fig tree and found none. The next 3 words are in capital letters again. Cut it down. Why does it use up the ground? Okay? It's planted on purpose. It's planted for a purpose. It's not bearing any fruit. It's not growing. It's not producing anything. It's a waste of space. He got it all wrong, right? Okay, he got it all wrong. He'd given it 3 years, which probably wasn't long enough for the fruit to develop and fruit to grow, and found none. So his reaction was, cut it down. The owner was ready to give up on it because of growing pains. Are you with me? Do you get the point this morning? He was ready to cut it down. He was ready to give up on it because he looked for 3 years, found nothing. it wasn't growing as far as you could see, had no potential, had no possibility. He couldn't see all the things that were actually the reason why it was planted. It was planted for possibility. And if you this morning, if you want to put point number 3, right? Point number 1 was you are planted on purpose. Point number 2, planted for a purpose. And point number 3, planted whatever you want to put. Planted on purpose, for a purpose, planted with purpose. Okay, that's what I would put. Planted with purpose. And the owner was ready to give up on it because it was planted with potential. See all the P's. On purpose, 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 potential. And so it was planted for potential. Planted with potential. Okay? He was ready to give up on it because of growing pains. And maybe this morning, I'm just talking to somebody right now, as I've said for the last couple of weeks, who's ready to close something down, ready to give up on something, ready to stop praying about something, ready to stop investing in something, ready to stop sowing seed in something, right? Because you thought it had potential, you thought it had possibility, you thought it had purpose, but actually you've seen nothing, and so you're saying, cut it down. Why? Because of growing pains. He was ready to close it down because of growing pains. He knew it had potential, he knew it had possibility, he knew that he had planted it on purpose, he knew that he had planted it for a purpose. When he saw nothing, when he couldn't see the purpose, and he called it a waste of space, he was ready to close it down. He was ready to end this because of growing pains. And next week, I want to really get into the 8 growing pains that he went through, and the 8 growing pains that we will go through if we want to grow something, grow ourselves, if we want to build something, if we want to achieve something. And all I would say to finish this morning, because time is beating us again, all that I would say this morning is if you are going through those things I would call growing pains, right? And I'll get to them next week. But if you feel this morning this is painful, what I'm trying to do is painful. I'm getting opposition. I'm trying to stretch. I'm trying to move. I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to be better. I know I have potential. I know I have possibility. But Dave, it's painful this morning. All I can say to you, if it's painful, it's good. How does that make any sense at all? Because it's good when children get growing pains, right? It means they are developing. It means something is happening. It means that the potential in them is actually coming through. The possibility in them is coming through. And I want to say to you this morning, if you are suffering growing pains, if it's painful, if it's hurting what you're doing, because you're stretching and moving and growing and building, that's a good thing, because it means that something is happening, right? The best thing you can feel after exercise, in my case, a bit of walking, the best thing you can feel is an ache or a pain or oh man, that stretched me. It's a good thing. Growing pains are not a bad thing. Growing pains are not your enemy. Do not stop. Don't shut it down. Don't close it down. Don't cut it off because of growing pains. It means you are growing. It means it is growing. It means they are growing. Right? So listen, I hope that helps you a little bit where you are this week. All right? I'm going to develop this more next week. Much, much more. I'm actually going to get into the 8 points that I've had on hold, that I've had on the back burner for the last 2 weeks. So I'm really going to get into that. and really got into that. I hope that helped you. I hope you're blessed. If it helps you, let us know. Okay? I mean that. It's good to know that what we're doing is helping people. But listen, have a great week. Have a blessed week. And don't forget, if you've got growing pains, it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It's a good sign. Okay? God bless you. Have a great week. Thank you. Bye.